clue there, little clue. Yeah, I don't know if anyone will care, but I'm going to have a look at some Richard Dawson today. I have not yet got around to this album. That doesn't look like it's quite lined up properly. Okay, a bit over there. Okay. Yeah, isn't that fun? Yeah, Richard Dawson's amazing. A very, very unusual individual, a very unusual songwriter, and there should be more like him, but there aren't. So let's wonder at his brilliance. I haven't listened to this yet, so it might let me down, but we will see. Okay, so where to start? Let's just start with what instrumentation we've got, I guess. We've got an acoustic guitar, I think probably a steel string guitar, but it sounds a little bit dilapidated. Doesn't sound as sort of bright as you might expect a steel guitar to sound. We've got, I think, an acoustic bass, very soft sounding. Maybe it's an upright bass actually. That would make sense with how it sounds. And we've got some drums as well, and the drums sound really sort of boxy, like quite small, not very high frequency, and yeah, with this really short reverb, so everything is quite close and quite small room. Yeah, then we've got a chord sequence which goes something like this. So 4 different chords there. I don't know if that's going to continue. I've stopped after 4 bars, assuming that it's a 4-bar loop, but this is a maverick composer who might do something different. But yeah, so we've got A flat, F, C and D flat, I think. And so, well, I mean, kind of saying F minor, I would say for the key. But then we've got this this guitar riff that happens over each of those chords. Let's hear it one more time. Sorry, I got those notes wrong. It is A flat to start with, so we get that A flat major kind of sound. The 9 to start with, 9, but then that goes up to the 10 or the 3 there, and then we get same kind of thing there, but that which was the major 7th in this chord is now the 9th in this chord. So that chord is beautifully unresolved, sort of just added 9th or sus2 chord. And then instead of going to the C after that, which would be pretty straightforward, it's actually to the G. We still only get 2 notes in the chord, but it's more of a G sus4 chord, so a little bit strange. And then it goes back to the A flat. Okay, so is that our 4 chord sequence? We'll see. The drums are also very minimal, aren't they? Dum, da, dum, da, da. It sounds like a 3 sequence actually. So we're on F here, and then, all right. So yeah, a few times we went from A to F to G to A to F to G, and then that last time we stopped there on that G sus chord, and then we're going into a verse section.
I'm in the hall on the phone.
You know what? Is this actually an acoustic guitar? I don't think this is. Whew, that's an interesting one, because at least some element of the sounds electric, sounds manufactured in that way. But you can hear the strums a little bit. You can hear going across the strings. So maybe it's just been recorded in quite a interesting way, where you've got the sound of the actual, the acoustic sound of the electric guitar. So like if we get this guy over again, sorry guitars, we get that kind of very sort of dry, tiny sound. I think there's definitely some amping going on though, as well as that, but we are getting that sort of kick of the strum as well. So that's interesting. It's an interesting way to do it.
In the hall on the phone, Jen's in her room watching Neighbours, Dad's in the bath whistling, Mom's on the sofa reading yesterday's papers.
Okay. We have to stop quickly with this one, otherwise we just lose pace entirely. So that first chord sequence was going between these two, very straightforward, B flat to E flat major, lovely. Even, so they're changing at the same times, and they're going back and forth as you would expect between chords. Then we got something a little more complicated. I think it's something like that. Now they're still moving at the same time, so basically 2 beats on each one. But what have we got? We've got an F major chord here, going to a G minor chord. Yeah, good point. This is not where we expected to be, is it? We were around A flat, F minor, really, F with a sus2, but if we'd had a 3, it would have been minor, probably. I mean, that's what the rest of the things, that's what the A flat suggests. And then that G sus, and then we're up B flat and E flat. So it's like not a very aggressive key change, but just a little bit of a departure from where we are, and then a little bit more of a departure to get to the G minor as well. But yeah, it's just going quite unusual places. Let's have another listen to it.
I'm in the hall.
Oh, sorry. Also, on that G sus4, there is actually that minor note there as well. Oh, let's have another listen. Oh, there's details. Yeah. I don't know. With that note, it almost feels like it's actually like a C7 without a third. It's an unusual choice anyway. Definitely feels like tense, but in a non-organic but non-classical kind of way. It's just like and then
I'm in the hall on the phone.
And that B flat chord there we had, it's not a big B flat major, it's actually got the sus4 in it again. So that goes through both chords, where normally that would be a... So it joins them together, but as well as that, it sort of tells us that when we've moved from this one here, then we're totally not in a new comfortable place yet. We've gone from this relatively uncomfortable thing to this one. I mean, they're both soft, uncomfortable things. They're not too aggressive. But when we get to that E flat, that does feel like coming home. It feels like that comfortable, nice place.
Jen's in a room watching Neighbours.
And yeah, just da 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 da. Where are we? What a low melody. Jen's in the room watching Neighbours, with these big jumps. Down, down, down a fifth and ba da, up a sixth. So the melody is kind of happening in, well, it's happening on the lower end of the guitar, but it's sort of in between the higher part of the guitar and the bass. It's got its own place in the middle there, which is not, well, not somewhere it would normally happen very often. Normally we'd have the guitar maybe higher, and then you'd have the melody higher as well, and then you'd have a big drop off before you got to the bass at the bottom, maybe with the guitar underneath the thing. So a thicker texture, but also one that's occurring over much wider frequency spectrum. But here really we're sort of capping out here, da, and the da 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 is where the melody is, and the bass is just a little bit lower than that. So really not a big thing, not a big frequency spectrum. And even the drums, which would normally be occupying the absolute extremes of that, they've got this boxier sound, so keeping everything on the sort of warm middle level, lower middle level.
Dad's in the bath, whistling.
Dad's in the bath, whistling. So the melody's coming a bit higher, and that dad's in the bath, the da is the third of the chord, and then the bath is sort of cueing in the next chord, an anticipatory note rather than one that fits with the chord before it. But then whistling is totally fine, fits very nicely.
Mom's on the sofa reading yesterday's paper.
So that's very similar to the other one we had, the da 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 da, but it's in a different place, isn't it? Mom's on the sofa reading yesterday's paper. Okay, so we got those same big intervals, da da da, down a fifth, but then da da, up a seventh, minor seventh, yesterday's paper, and we do finally resolve into that that sixth that we got last time. Da, 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 da. They really don't feel close, do they? Oh, yeah, because I've been playing that in the wrong key. Right. Na, 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 and then na, na, na. Same thing, but just in a different part of the scale, which is really fun.
When suddenly the house is lit to every corner.
Okay. Suddenly we're down on E as well. So this is really painting a picture, isn't it? This is not a verse, chorus song, presumably. It is a story. It is a ballad. And so we've had this painting picture in this section. Something nice and comfortable. Yeah. A little bit homely. And then we've got this strange melody, which is echoed both in the guitar and the vocal. They're both doing the same line at the same time, while the bass is just bopping out these E's. So we've changed. Yeah, I hear that this album's a lot lower key than the standard Richard Dawson fare. So we're not doing this with a big textural change, keeping the same instruments, easily performable, therefore might be a worthwhile thing to consider. But we're keeping the same instruments, we are only changing how they're used. So we were playing slightly more chordal things with the guitar, and now that's doing a melody along with the vocals, the same melody. So we're sort of thinning out the texture and making it more stark what's going on.
This is lit to every corner by a stupendous burst of all-seeing light.
Okay, so there they split apart. They were going da 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 da, and then Richard Dawson goes up to the all-seeing light. To be honest, he's probably the guitarist as well, but he goes with his voice, the all-seeing light, and the guitar goes da, da. So you get that lovely split from da, da, from there. The all-seeing light. Nice straightforward thirds, but it's the splitting from 1 to 2 that's quite powerful there. It goes from this really honed acuity to suddenly having two different wefts, if you like.
The bold left
And then we're back.
Scribbled miles down an empty page of heaven landed on our roof.
So this is the same as the beginning. So this is, what happens at the beginning, right? In the bass and the drums and the guitar, they're all doing what they were doing at the beginning. But now we've also got the vocals on top, giving a melody. Now, Richard Dawson has a way with melodies and lyrics that is mind-boggling, really. I think it's worth having a look. The main uniqueness is the complete resentment of scansion. He'll fit in as many syllables as he needs to, with absolutely no care for how many it is. So let's have a listen to that.
Miles down the bolt left it.
Okay, from the beginning, come on.
All-seeing light. The bolt left its cloud, scribbled miles down an empty page of heaven landed on our roof.
So, da 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 is something that is actually pretty even. Da 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 da. We do that twice, and then da 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 da. Let's hear that again.
An empty page
of
landed.
heaven. And then we go back into landed on our roof. Same bit of melody.
On our roof.
Let's see if that gives us any more of this chord. Yeah, it does. It gives us a C minor chord by itself, and then we've got that A flat in the bass, da, 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 and then the F in the bass, da, 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 and then the G, and well, it doesn't do the same there, does it? It goes da, 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 da. But we've got an A flat major 7 chord, a little bit more of this F minor, well, I want to call it minor 9, but we still don't have the 3rd in there. We've got the 7th and the 9th and the 5th, we're just missing the 3rd, and then this G, which is really a G minor now, because of that strong note in the melody. Carrying on.
Left from room to room. vanished with a deafening boom.
Yeah, so there we do have, again, da-da, da-da, with a little litter, which is nice. So we finish, rather than coming down to the F, which is the root of the chord. And then we do the same kind of thing. Da, 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 deafening boom. So we had deafening boom, deafening boom, deafening boom. So some extra syllables just on the end there. Da, 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 deafening boom. Which still rhymes, doesn't it? We had room before, but we've just elongated that line in a way that feels very natural. And that's what sort of boggles my mind. I really don't know why it is that we can have deafening boom when you'd expect the da, that would be where you put the rhyme, boom. Maybe it's just because we didn't have a rhyme last time. And so in this part, the rhyme is sort of like, oh, an extra thing. Lovely. But whatever it is, it's ingenious. And while I should maybe care about it being wrong, it isn't really wrong. So I can't. Okay. Sounds a bit like the drums are building a little bit now. There's a little bit more sound in there, at least to my ear.
Diminished chord.
You can't do that. Diminished chord. So you'd expect it to be a diminished chord, wouldn't you? Let's hear it again. I don't think it is. We get this G sus.
Diminished chord.
No. So if it was a diminished chord based on that, it would be that. It's not 100 miles away from that, is it?
Diminished chord.
So we've got those. I can't hear the G in there anywhere. Let's see if I can find it.
Diminished chord of panic screams.
No, it's not in there. So if you want to call this a diminished chord, well, you're close. Because if it had one extra note, which is that G, or even if it had this C sharp here, it would be a diminished chord. But as we've only got the two notes, we've got B flat and we've got E. Can't call it a diminished chord. We can only call it a well, diminished fifth dyad, if you like, or an augmented fourth dyad. Let's see how it resolves to see if it is clearly one of those two.
Of panic screams.
Okay, it resolves to the E flat. So this is kind of like what we had at the beginning, in the first entry of the vocals, where we were going from that sus4 B flat chord. But now we haven't got that sus4, we've got a diminished. No, I don't think that's in there, is it? A diminished fifth. It is a diminished fifth, and we can tell because that moves down there. If you care about theory at all, if this were going to go up, so we might have another resolution which went something like that. Then we're going up, so it's a sharpened fourth going to a fifth. But because it's going that's going down from a flattened fifth to a fourth. Realistically though, that's actually the flat second of the key, and then the E flat is our sort of root. But yeah, it's similar to what we've got before, but they've just subtly changed the chords. Let's just check. Let's just do due diligence and check that that isn't the chord that we had at the beginning.
I'm in the hall.
It's not. That's a nicer chord. That's a much softer sound. So yeah. Where are we?
Screens.
Okay, yeah.
Of panic screens. A smell in the air like chlorine.
Same thing again. Da 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 da. That lovely bit of melody, but again, we don't care so much about da 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 ba ba ba. It's ba da 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 ba 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 ba. Two extra things. Chlorine.
Cacophony of barking dog and burglar alarm.
Cacophony of barking dog and burglar alarm is a lovely line. Very, very beautiful words and image, and sound image. But yeah, again, like I say, scansion, not really the important thing.
Cacophony of barking dog and burglar alarm.
Yeah, we are getting the same thing here. So we've gone back to that G sort of G minor kind of thing. Cacophony of burglar alarm, and same melody more or less that we got the first time.
A scorch mark in the centre of my trembling palm.
Okay, so before, what did we have? Something like Mother has dinner in the bath, or something like that. And this time it's scorch mark at the centre of my trembling palm. So we really don't give a hoot whether or not we have one newt or two.
I stare bewildered at the telephone hanging from the wall.
Is a nice way of fitting it with that clear, strong beat. Something like that, isn't it? Hanging from the wall. Was it that?
Telephone hanging from the wall. Now
Ooh, there's a slight shift there down to the C, I think. So we were banging out the E, and things were basically like a verse-chorus element here, or at least a strophic structure of a repeating section that repeats again structure before this happened, but now this has happened and we've got this C, so we are taking it somewhere else, it seems.
flower of charred and twisted beige.
Same kind of thing that we had there, where they split apart, but this time they do a slightly different twiddle. The first time, that's what we got. This time, we do a higher one. The other thing that Richard Dawson is incredibly free with is falsetto. He'll be doing a regal voice and then suddenly it'll be falsetto. He does have an incredible falsetto, really. I would suggest you go and listen to... I want to say it's called Lily, but I might be wrong about that. But it's on his album with the Finnish band Circle, which is called Henki. Which one is it? It could be Lily. It could be Methuselah. It could be Ivy. I need to know this album better. But anyway, there's one of these that where he sings a melody lower. Can't you see me? I'm on the edge. I'm on the edge. And then it walks up. Maybe it doesn't do that just yet. I think we keep down for a bit lower, for a bit longer. And then, yeah, we do get basically the same melody up an octave, in a glorious falsetto, and I think it's probably in a different key because that is only going to get me up to maybe a C at the top, when I'm pretty sure this goes up higher. Why not? I mean, it's my bloody stream, isn't it? Why not? Let's have a look. Yeah, so it is this. Let's just get the bit. Okay. Yes, don't you see me? Here we go. Okay. Yeah! I'm actually in more or less ready. I'm on the edge. I'm on the edge. Don't you hear me? I'm on the edge. I'm peeking over. Don't you feel me? I'm on the edge. I'm on the edge. I'm on the edge. Going down the mountainside. Oh yeah. Look to the edge. You'll find me there. Whistling through your clothes. Ribcage blossoming in the snow. After your insides are made of these for the jackals and the crows. Your soul will echo down below. Yeah. Okay, so that one's actually. This is just looking into Richard Dawson's great falsetto. Why not? Let's carry on. Civil servant. Yeah, that one was just up to a G, maybe a little bit higher, but civil servant, man, absolutely crazy song. And then so there we've got me, which according to my guitar. You heard it. So we were around G, and then up to a C. Let me just check I'm in tune. Oh, I am pretty flat. Wow, I think so. That's a D sharp. Okay, there we go. So yeah, we were around that G. Refuse! And then refuse! We went up to the C, didn't we? Woo! Blew my thing off. Incredible. Anyway, enough fanboying. Don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm probably just gonna accept the copyright claim on this one. And good on him, because he freaking deserves it. Just excellent. Anyway, were we up to there? No, we weren't quite, were we? So, there's that C. But then it just molds back into the previous section. Oh, yeah, into the beginning things, the A flat major 7 chord. So it's really, yeah, it's got these stark changes, but even within these changes, because the texture is so similar between each one, they're really soft changes. They're stark and clear, but soft. And that's an interesting juxtaposition. Quite a rare juxtaposition, really.
A wrong number. I just hung up the call. That was so close.
Yeah, similar kind of thing going on here. Da ba da da. We're keeping it to a pretty straightforward rhythm here, which is arguably unusual for Richard Dawson. So it's great that he's managing to do that, even if it makes it more generic in that way.
You were so close.
Close. We did that last time as well,
I
didn't we?
almost recognized the voice.
Okay, we just couldn't resist. almost recognize the voice. Wow. Nice. Dee, 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 dee. So on that A flat chord, holding a sharp 11, which is a D, up to the 13. Yeah, not much fitting with the chord there, but really nice. And voice, yeah, nice word painting, I guess, using a different voice on voice. We don't go too hard into the lyrics here though, so that'll do. And then we just end on that chord. Yeah. It's an interesting way to create a ballad, really, to have recurring sections that have very different moods that recur in the same order each time. It's quite an unusual thing to do, and probably deserves a little more going into exactly what's going on there. But song-wise, it's a nice one. None of these sections is what you would expect from any kind of music, so it really is occupying its own space. It's lovely stuff. Okay, Gondola. I think the reason I didn't notice I was flat is because the guitar is flat on this album, which is no problem really, and I'm a big proponent of doing it in whatever sounds right, as opposed to forcing it into 12 tet and A equals 440. But yeah, it's difficult to it's difficult to accompany or play along with, or sometimes hard to find the notes if they're not perfectly tuned together. Anyway, we've got a nice bit of guitar here. Feels like a good fingerstyle thing. I was wondering if Richard Dawson played fingerstyle. I think he must do, so I should have considered him. Okay, so not as straightforward as I thought, because this low string at the very least is tuned down quite low. Let's hear it one more time. So we start on an E, so it's deceptive. Okay. All the way down to a C sharp. Oh, C even. Yeah. Oh, so it probably means that there's a whole different tuning going on, because this is quite hard to play. Yeah, I mean that's crazy, isn't it? Where do we start there? That's doable. If that's what it is, that's doable too. Anything on that is going to be doable. And then, where's the last one? Oh, let's hear it again. a little bit of a strange feel to it because it's not quite 4. You could play it in 4, but there's a little bit of extra time. Something like that. Okay. Yeah. That's not doable that way. That's pretty hard, if that's how he does it. Fair play to him. I'm imagining this is a whole different tuning. Yeah, because I can hear that there's movement there as well. Then again, there could be with this one. Okay, and that's where the last one is. Okay. Yeah, it's basically doing the same thing in each place. Got the same rhythm. The first one, moving with those thirds. Downwards, then back up, then a jump. Does the same thing again, but without the jump. Then we go up here and we do the same thing, wherever it is. Thirds downwards, upwards, jump. Thirds downwards and upwards and no jump. Then we get a little bit of a difference, because these just go down. And then they still have the jump. Then they go up first, jump down, and back up again. So same rhythm, but a little bit of a different order to the things. They're going upwards and downwards at different times. And then we do a higher one again. Where is it? Yeah, I think it is there. So that follows the normal pattern, but then we jump down to D. Oh no, it's not D, is it? What's that? Ah, it is D. Great. My perfect pitch is back. Having never existed before. Yeah. So that's again a little bit of a different pattern, isn't it? Going up, through, and then jumping down. But still the same rhythm. So it all has a big of a piece feeling. There's nothing that sounds like a total ad lib. It all sounds really, really heavily composed and deliberate. And we're also using fairly straightforward chords at the basis of this. Even though we've got the thirds, which sort of make the chords a little less clear, we've got an E minor chord followed by the relative major, the G major. Which we can play like that at the moment. And then we get the C, which is the sort of subdominant of G major, if you like, fourth of the key, very, very closely related. A minor, not quite as closely related, but it's still there, it's very closely related to the C. And then D, which is the fifth of the key G. So that really is our sort of, okay, what comes next chord? And we could go to E minor or we could go to G, and those would be the really classic things to do, but this guy is anything but deliberately classic. Let's see what he does.
Good morning, Britain, a soft-boiled egg,
Ooh. Okay, yeah, well there we go. It did go to E. That much is true. Something like that. If I stayed with this, I'm sure I'd work out what actual key we're in. Sorry, not what key we're in, what tuning we're in. I know what key we're in. It's E minor. Okay, and then we go to C, and then we go to D, and then we go to C sharp minor. Ooh. E minor. C. D. So far, so classic sort of progressive folk kind of thing. Not progressive folk, but like progressive rock or folk. You know, you could imagine ad-libbing a folk song. What shall I say? Lisa met me in the county one day. County court, at least. Met me in the county. What a shocking thing to say. Okay, Lisa met me in the county court one day. Right, straightforward. I mean, my delivery is definitely not folk, but everything about that feels very straightforward. But that last chord, in the county court one day, what must have happened? A shocking, scary noise from outside the key.
Pierce is on Lorraine, shooting pains down my left leg.
Again, Scansion just, you know, the last time we went da 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 da, right, and we ended on that chord, and then that was then the end. But this time, leg, we go up, yeah, to A minor, out of nowhere, left leg, and then back to E minor. Now this C sharp minor sort of throws us into hot water, harmony wise. I love hot harmonic water, because if we go to the A minor, that's not heavily related to it at all. The C sharp from the C sharp minor chord becomes a C in that. That's pretty uncomfortable changing. A tertiary shift, if you will. If we go back to the E, that's not comfortable either, because the G sharp in this chord, which is that one, becomes that one, the G in that one. So again, another tertiary shift between either of those chords. So this is, and even if we were going to like D, we're shifting everything up a semitone. So it's quite a uncomfortable change by itself. You could probably get over it. If we went to C, again, pretty uncomfortable, because we're changing, well, there we're changing both the C sharp and the G sharp to C and G, while keeping that one note the same. And when I say uncomfortable, I don't mean it sounds bad. All of these are cool and exciting, and the use of it here, really, rather than bad, is just dark. It adds this sort of unexpected discomfort, and that's what writing dramatic music is about. So it's really cool. Left leg. Sometimes I feel Richard Dawson has more of the comedy side of music, like just freely flowing in what would otherwise be dramatic and powerfully meaningful, and that comedy side detracts from it in some ways. At the same time, it's so off the wall that it adds its own element of real unique amusement. I sort of I should probably just do a whole long video on Richard Dawson in general, because I have so much admiration. Anyway, let's carry on. We've had two parts of a verse.
Holly and Phil can pay your energy bills. Dead wasp on the window.
Yeah. Same thing. So the main features here. I haven't said anything about the drums, but the drums are very, very soft in the background. I think we do have that bass back in as well, which we didn't have in the beginning guitar only thing, which also felt like it was in its own time. Whereas now we're very hot on this 3/4 1 2 3 4 feel, which is quite fast. The melody is all over the place, as are the words. They have no deliberate structure. I mean, that seems like not quite the right thing to say, but the structure is something that is so esoteric. It doesn't have a easily designable name or anything like that, or even a comparison to anything other than Richard Dawson, really. I mean, there no doubt are some that I'm not aware of, but the cascading melody there is nothing like the melody that was before. Well, it is in that it's freely moving, and it's got free amounts of syllables in each section, and even the line doesn't have its own start and finish. If this one finishes halfway, or well, at least has a comma, doesn't it? Let's have a hear of it again. Holly and Phil can pay her energy. So we had Holly and Phil can pay her energy bills. That's the thing by itself. And I'm sure that he could have gone Holly and Have we changed key? No. Holly and Phil can pay her energy bills. No. So that is how it is, but Holly and Phil can pay her energy bills. And then dead wasp on the window. You could slow it down and do these two thoughts separately, but he chooses not to do that. He chooses to put them together. Yeah, which means it has such an interesting relationship with stress, basically. And I don't mean like tense stress. I mean note stress or time stress specifically, or word stress. Because really the most stressed word here is window, which comes at the end and has a big gap after it. But window's clearly not the most important word here. You could maybe argue Holly and Phil play her energy bills would be nice, because we've lined almost entirely up Phil and Bills to be with the chord changes, but then dead dog at the window, we've done the same with win, which doesn't rhyme with either of those. I mean, you could argue it's got the same assonance, right? You've got ill, will, bill. No, it's Holly and Phil play energy bills, dead dog at the window, but then wildo, it's not, is it? It's window. So it's an interesting thing. Anyway, it's a really curious feeling, and I don't in a lot. Occasionally I come across things which I really just don't understand, and this is one of them. If anyone has any genius takes on why the flow of words in Richard Dawson songs is so easily accessible. I mean, it might just be my familiarity with Richard Dawson, but it might also be that there's something really specific of that's going on here that people just haven't cottoned onto in wider music. I think it's really amazing.
And Phil can pay her energy bills, dead wasp on the windowsill. The last drops of Blossom Hill, hailstones on the bus up to Little.
So basically the same thing. And we might not have gone to the C sharp minor at the end there.
The last drops of Blossom Hill.
That's also very low. Still, windowsill, all the way down to an E, a low E. It's lower than the bass clef if you're looking at it on standard notation, which is pretty low for a singer. You can get away with it in this free sparse texture. It's very easy just as sill. But in a thicker thing, in a Dua Lipa kind of thing, if she was banging out bottom E's, you wouldn't be able to hear them so well. So yeah, everyone in their right place, I suppose.
Hailstones on the bus up to Little.
Yeah, so there. Hailstones on the bus up to Little. Yeah, up to an F chord. So Little actually adds an extra to that chord, but F is our low note. The melody note is then a D, so it's making that like an F6 chord, sort of. I mean, we've barely established that it's F, which is new and unexpected. We've not had that out of key note before, so that's fun. It's not very far. It doesn't quite feel as crazy as the C sharp minor, especially not from this C, because from the C to the F is just up a fourth or down a fifth. Very comfortable. Circle of fifths movement. Loads of people very, very comfortable with that kind of thing.
Bus up to Little.
Ah. Yeah. So we got a bit more movement and a bit more hard playing there. The drums brought in the hi-hat and we were getting that offbeat, everything going a little bit with more propulsion. We got a different chord sequence, and it was led by the guitar and the bass. I think it's maybe, yeah, I mean it must be an upright bass, but it's got a good sustain for an upright bass that's just being played with fingers. I guess things have come on quite a lot since the 50s when you could barely hear them on those jazz records. But yeah, so we get that little, and then we get this kind of sus4 chord again, which resolves this time, unlike the previous track, resolving to an E chord. But we're really just going F, and then yeah, that note, that F, which is, no, it's not the F, is it? It's the A that's in the F chord, stays on into the E chord and then drops with the rest of the chord. They're a semitone away from each other, so it's quite a big harmonic change, but it's one that's really common. So it doesn't feel too odd, although it is a little bit odd because we've been playing with an E minor for so long, and now we've got an E major, but then that does lead us where we'd expect it to an A minor, and then does it go to B flat after that? I can't quite remember. It does, and interestingly the bass drops out for that chord, so we get that, something like that. So it's not much of a chord. Yeah, we don't even really have the fifth in there, let alone the third. But we get that suspension again, just like the other one. Da, da, da. Oh, not like that. Da, da, da. Here we get a similar one. Da, da, da. But it's not a semitone going down this time. It's a tone going down, while the lower note came up. So there are a few things that make that sound different to what happened before, but you can still hear the connection in that rhythmic gesture that has a particular melodic direction as well. Lovely. All right, carrying on. I imagine we're going to get back to our E minor. Nope. Yeah, so from B flat to C. And we're up into falsetto territory again. Yeah, so we've already gone 2 octaves and a half in this song, from that low E to ah, up to that B. It's impressive stuff. And this is an unusual melody, keeping that ticking over on those low 2 notes with the C, and then we've got a little bit of an offbeat melody. So it's fitting in the gaps in between the 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 ba 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 ba, which is yeah, a classic fingerstyle thing to do on a guitar. Okay, I'm not going to go into every chord change now. I'm just going to keep going. But the whole deal being, we are moving key like it's going out of fashion. We started in E minor, then we had a brief time there moving towards A minor, and then we were in C. Are we still in C? I guess a bit. And now where are we? Okay, we're in A. So we've not gone too far, but we did use some chords there, and we had stops on them, so they were important. And neither of those were actually in the A minor that we, or at least not the second one, was in the A minor that we were going to. So that second one really felt like it was a shift away as we got to the A minor. And we're building again, aren't we? Really nice bit of straightforward melody there, though, wasn't there? As we came back to E minor. I don't feel like we did actually, though. Oh, we do. Yeah, and we have a nice not a suspension there, but an appoggiatura, which is an unprepared suspension. Da-da, sit down. For all you Radiohead people out there. And yeah, it from this. Oh yeah, we were never really in C major, because that melody has that sharpened fourth in there. So that's like saying it's C Lydian. Or it's just a long diversion from where our key center is, which is that E minor, which we've come back to here, just briefly. And there's the G. In the jewelry shop, I wish I had. Yeah. So it's sounds strong to begin with. Da, 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 da. We get such a wide colour just from how much each note is emphasised. So jewellery, I think, is the word there, isn't it? Yeah. In the jewellery shop. And then I wish I had. Just goes off. And interesting that the lyrics there say, I wish I had gone on to higher education. But I wish I had is what we get here. Gone on to higher education, presumably to follow shortly, but specifically there's a gap. Quite a big. Yeah. So in a, it's so unique, but there's the flow of one thought not only can flow straight into another thought, but it can be interrupted by an important part of the important part of the music. So he didn't want to sing over the bom, da, da, da. So he waited for that to be finished before gone to higher ed. But Tom was always the clever one. Ooh, powerful. Let's just hear those again. Yeah, so we get the E in the bass, and it sounds like we get a B chord. How do I do it? Maybe with something else in it, and then we get that E major chord. So yeah, a couple of times here we've played around with the key, haven't we? We've had that C sharp minor chord, we've had the F chord, so the C sharp minor really shifting us to a brighter, sharper key, and then the F chord darkening and making it more of a Phrygian kind of mode, and then we've had this E major leading us to the A minor. Yeah, and here we've got an E major which feels like it's our root, because we had that B major before it. Lots and lots of chromatic play here, and yeah, I wonder how much of it is with a distinct purpose, or whether that he just thinks this is the best selection of chords for the words. I don't know. Yeah, it's really fun. But then we're back, so we back to G minor. No, sorry, E minor. And it sounds like we're back to how the first verse went as well. So maybe we're looking at a strophic structure for this one as well. Cool. We've also got a flute that's just come in. Maybe it came in a little bit earlier. Now I'm thinking about it. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's giving us that nice G sharp up at the top there to make that nice sweet E major, and then it just jumps all the way down over an octave.
Cash in the attic, a place in the sun.
Oh, that's not a flute, is it? Let's hear it. Where does it come in? Okay. So there, it is absolutely a flute, or it is a recorder. Okay, probably a recorder, I think.
Education, but Tom was always the clever one.
So then,
cash in the attic, a place in the sun.
I'm just, because that last note, that with that increase of power behind it, that sounds way more like clarinet than any flute. But the rest is so breathy and soft.
Very long overdue phone call from my son William.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a clarinet. I'm really impressed with whoever's playing that so softly to make it sound almost flute-like. I've never heard a clarinet sound like that, so that's really cool.
Deal or no deal, or no deal, or no deal, or no deal.
Yeah, it's mainly doing the same. What was that? Deal or no deal, deal or no deal, deal or no deal. It's mainly doing the same notes. I think, and yeah, they fit with the chords, don't they? Does that one do? Hang on. Yeah, probably that, isn't it?
Box number 17 is open to review.
And then that's. But then we've got, yeah, that a slightly different chord sequence, haven't we? Yeah, so it goes down to the D when we get that C chord, and then that's where the melody goes to when we get the F chord that comes afterwards, which is just where we expected it from the previous thing. Great.
That's never healed.
Yeah. So this is following the same. it's following the same kind of thing as we had before, but previously when we got to the F chord and the E chord that comes after it, the vocals took a back seat for that moment. And then when we got to the A minor, they also took a back seat, but here we had vocals over all of that. So clearly this part of the story is more important. It's more important for this part of the story to have that continuity through here. Yeah, so I think the thing about this particular way of composing, how we've got the strophic structure and we've got a complex narrative over the top. It's so there's a connection with Mark Kozelek of Sun Kill Moon, who does basically spoken word things, but they're not quite. They're stories of his life, and whether they rhyme is so unimportant that they don't. Frankly, I wouldn't put it past him to remove rhymes if they could. They just carry on, and there's melody to it sometimes, and there's not so much other times. But the way that the words and the backing fit together is something of chance endeavour. And that said, when you look at it in very specific, minute circumstances, it's clear that it's really deliberate in those circumstances. And I think this is probably similar. I think that the evidence points to Richard Dawson being a prolific writer of music and a prolific writer of words, and the matching these together as opposed to writing words and then making music to accompany the words, and also as opposed to the opposite of that, writing music and then making words to fit the music. Really, he is I want to say a master. I feel that's fair. I'm going to say he's a master of words and music, and they go together in this quite unusual lightning in a bottle kind of way, where they fit, they find the best fit. That's what we're doing. I mean, there's no doubt some editing as well, but that's what we're doing. We're putting these two together. Now that they're together, I just can't separate them. I'm very happy with how they fit together. Okay, so it might not have been what I did if I really looked at how to most perfectly fit these words into a song, and it might not be the way that I did it if I really wanted to focus on finding the right words to fit this particular music. But aren't you happy? Doesn't it sound good? Doesn't it sound unique and powerful? Yes, it does. Leave me alone. Yeah, so we got that. But we got it on a different parts. Previously it was on, and then it brought us back to the E minor. But here it's on those weird chords. Why not? Let's work them out. So it's an E chord, E minor, and then an F sharp major chord. So we had the F major chord before, didn't we? This is an F sharp, and then straight back to A. Now the melody fits it nicely, but that chord shape is quite an unusual tertiary shift from the F sharp major, which has an A sharp in it, an A sharp going to an A in this next one. It also has a C sharp in it, going to a C in this next one. So those are both falling down a semitone. Yeah, it's quite an unusual change. Okay, so probably that if it happened before, which I can't remember it doing, it's similar, isn't it, to this that just happened, and that one definitely did happen before. So we've got some continuity even across some quite disparate chord settings here. Yeah, that. That's the main thing, that da-da, that connects them very, very closely. Cool. Anyway, it's so far pretty much strophic, but again, like I say, each of these verses are going really at their own steam. We've got a lot. Oh, okay, something was about to happen. Go back a bit. Yeah, what was I going to say? We've got a build up here, which I now feel like I've spoiled for myself. But yeah, everything was getting a bit louder, a bit stronger. Bang, bang. I don't want any more regrets. Yeah. My dreams died like dolphins in the net. So I think this is probably a different vocal take. It's closer and it's louder. It might be the same one, but anyway, it's had some altering done to bring it out more than the other things. And yeah, it's central, and we're going up to G in a stronger, chestier voice, da 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 da, just like that. And this is this is powerful. This is giving a stronger ending to the song, even if we're using basically the same chords as we were using. Still very vulnerable delivery, but stronger. Even the guitar is a whole lot louder, isn't it? We're using artificial means to bump everything up here, but I don't mind it. I think it adds the intensity without needing to change the texture, which is nice. I still can't believe I'm a grandma. Just passed a driving test. I'm gonna put a couple of £1,000 towards a car. Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? So we're looking at an E chord there, which has previously been pretty much heavily minor, but here we've had it twice, starting even with the sixth there, making it super major. That's the C sharp that we've been despising so much, being the minor chord there. But you know, if we had E major, the C sharp fits just fine. But then we're moving to G major and C major and D major, I think. So we've still got the same chord sequence as we had before, but with the E minor switched out for E major, which it makes a big difference, and sort of gives this brightness to the ongoing sequence, which is ramping up, still getting louder, which is nice, and yeah, such lovely lyrics, really. Take her on holiday, make memories before it's all too late. Okay, we're back to minor now. We've also got some ride cymbal here, which is adding that bright layer that we've really not had very much in this album so far. Okay. Then this intro comes back as the outro as well. Actually, hey. Oh. Some slight discrepancies between the first time and the last time, I think, but this is really like what you might get. Well, not that I've ever been, but if you're in Venice and you go on a gondola, you sometimes have a singing guy, but also sometimes you have a guitarist. At least I think so. And they might be doing something like this. So I think that's what's going on there, is that this is really painting the image, a real image of being on a gondola. Just for that particular part anyway. I don't know if it's cohesive with the rest of the song or the lyrics in general, but that's a really nice way to end, and it gives an actual firm contextual meaning to the guitar part, which until then was sitting by itself at the beginning of the piece, having shown us kind of the sequence of chords we were going to have to some degree, but other than that, very little. Oh, it's so fun stuff. Right, Bullies, uh-oh. And a major tierce piccady just to end and make my wife unhappy. I like it when it's the same for 8 bars. Makes my job a lot easier. Well, feels a bit rocking, doesn't it? We've got fast, or fast, stop, fast, stop, fast, stop, fast, stop. Yeah, I mean, just as stark as that, really. We've got fast movement, slow. It's not like we're stopping forever, but we're making a big difference between the beginning of the bar and the end of the bar. The beginning of the bar, fast movement, the end of the bar, slow, nothing. And yeah, we've got the same stuff as we have before. We haven't got a clarinet or a flute in anymore, or a recorder, but we do have the bass and the guitar and the drums.
After what happened in PE, I didn't want to go back. I knew it wasn't gonna be good, but it turned out so much.
Yeah, 3 chords. Yeah. This is a cool sequence, right? C. So firstly, that's kind of unexpected. After what happened. Can't remember what the melody is anyway. We're given this B minor, and the general assumption would just be that we've got a B minor chord, a scale to go with the chord. But it's not that. It is B minor going to C, so that would be the flat 2 of a B minor, so we're looking at B minor Phrygian, if anything. C, E minor, G, and then back to B. Now, any of those chords could potentially be the actual root of the thing. If it was C, it would be C Lydian, which would be nice. If it was E, it would be just E minor, which would make a lot of sense. If it was G, it would be G major. But B is the one we stop on. And I think it lasts long enough to really establish itself as the root. You could argue it has like dominant energy. So that would be the 5th of the key. So E would be our real rest. But yeah, I mean, argue with me if you want. C, yeah, so anyway, this sort of chord sequence is cool because it's a chord sequence, and whole chord sequences are cool. But if you really want to get under the skin of it, C goes up 3, or goes up a third, to E, goes up a third, to G, goes up a third, back to B. That wasn't quite what I meant to do, but it was still cool. That was more like it. Did I put an extra chord in there? Don't know. I'll have to listen back. Anyway, yeah, that's fun. Got some slightly unusual clangy things happening here, haven't we? Maybe we've got some bottles or some like an anvil. I don't know. Plenty of things that can be hit. Okay, so now we're more on that E minor. There's a little bit of funkiness to it, and the melody is blank by my best mates. Sorry if I'm out of tune with my guitar. I'm hearing it one in my ear and one on the guitar down there, so I can't tell which I should go with. But anyway, yeah, da 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 da. So that's like the flat 6 to the 5 of that chord. So a bit of a dissonance, a bit of a darker song than the previous two, as obviously you would expect from the name Bullies. Okay, similar chord sequence there, but yeah, but I missed it and it won't come again until maybe this is another strophic song and it will repeat itself at some point. But now we're around C. Well, that's nice, isn't it? 4, 5, 1. Yeah. That's nice. We're still more or less in the same key setting as we were, but we're sort of playing with what the root is. It was B before, and then it was E, and now it's kind of G, but we're not staying on G. Okay, and then yeah, same kind of thing. And you would expect on the floor, but that's not what we get. We get in a bottle on the floor. So we get the B minor instead of the G, and then we get the E minor as a resolution instead of going back to the C and keeping it going with that subdominant energy. Nonetheless, we keep going. A minor. What could it be? Amazing. Well done, Seb. To remember. We'd expect it to go anymore, but instead it's down a semitone from where we'd expect it to be. Madcap. Just completely changing the key center there at a moment's notice for something that is in the middle of a thought again. Don't remember anymore. I mean, maybe that's a treatise on forgetting. Maybe they just forgot that we were looking at a nice G major resolution there. But either way, it's a really powerful thing, isn't it, to suddenly shift there. Ooh. Obviously, there's no analysis that would do justice to that, but that's a very powerful sudden appearance of that crazy clarinet that was very under control in Gondola, and now absolutely not. Absolutely doing some 20th century kind of noises. But now we're back to our kind of B minor section, aren't we? So the drums on those chords. The drums are going to, I think, ride cymbal only, and then they're going to the main part of the kit again when we get back to our Bs. With some other things. And the drums have a lot more...
Much to Dad's disappointment, mainly thanks to the encouragement of Mrs. Kovacic.
Ah, cool. I'm glad I've got those now. So those are the backwards versions of... So this, go down a third, go down a third, go down a third. So it's like what we had before. Oh, sorry. Where we went up a third, up a third, up a third, up a third. But now we're going down a third, down a third, down a third. Very clever, and you notice the similarity even if you don't notice the specificity.
I managed an A and a B in English. I'm in the library every lunchtime, far away from the noise outside.
So this seems pretty much like what we got before. I'm sorry for making so much of that last time. That could happen in anyone's song, to be honest. That's a very standard set of chords and unexpected changes to those chords. So even amongst the unexpected, it's relatively expected.
Putting the finishing touches on my entry.
But here comes that F sharp. Yeah, there it is. And it's actually, yeah. Isn't it? In thirds with the guitar as well. Yeah, that's nice. Which sort of evens out the change. Because we've not just got that change, we've got and now we were expecting that from last time as well, so it doesn't feel completely crazy. So from that, following the thirds thing, we would expect to go to like D, but I think it goes elsewhere. Whoa! Yeah, so the bass is on F sharp, and crikey, that flute slash recorder is going crazy in this next bit. Ooh, okay. I don't know how he's playing that, but yeah, we're getting a weird collection of notes there. Got the F sharp in the bass. Might just be a bit flat. If it was meant to be a G, that would make a lot of sense, because we've got a G there, we've got a C, so that would make most of a C chord, and we've got an A as well. But if that's pretty crazy, pretty weird sounding, with the F in the bass and the G above it, and then no sort of, well, A I guess makes it an F minor, but then we've got the C, which would make it an F sharp diminished. Oh, and it's not the flute. What's going on? It's clearly the clarinet. Ah! Okay, yeah, really discordant stuff happening with the bass and the guitar, as well as the extreme screeches of the very attention-grabbing clarinet. Yeah, it's chromatic movement, and then occasionally not chromatic movement. Is it going anywhere? I don't know. But yeah, it's in 5 as well, isn't it? We're getting 5 pumps of each one before moving on. Oh, we were. Okay, and then we've actually found somewhere to rest at C. Not for long, but that wasn't too bad, was it? It's basically that. With some tuning on, yeah, some clever tuning. We can have that A and that D at the same time. That's not too apparent though. So we've softened into a sweeter sound, and the drums have left, and the clarinet has left. If you needed me to tell you. Yeah, this is actually, I think there's lines moving in opposite directions within the guitars. Yeah, so we've got these here, and then that drops to there, and then we go up to the G. Okay, and then they move together. So they're not in opposite directions, but we've got sort of a little bit of interesting pull and push between the chord voicings there. While things in the middle are keeping the same as well. G and E in the middle there are staying the same. Yeah, it's a nice selection of chords and an unexpected resolution to a D flat chord, which is, yeah, really not like what we were expecting. We're sort of kind of quite comfortably in C or E minor territory there, and that D flat is in neither.
Call at work today.
Okay. Why do I always do that? Now we're back to B, like we were at the beginning. And it just comes out of nowhere, really. We've softened into those chords, and then bam, da, da.
From Joshua's school, asking me to come
Okay,
right
but
away.
this time it's just the guitar. Just the guitar and the voice with a little bit of accompaniment from the...
wine, scrapping the game, broke the lad's jaw, and now he's suspended.
Yeah, so just with a little bit of accompaniment from the bass, I think, just adding a little more to the chords from time to time, but really we're looking at just the guitar and the vocals here, so it's a more empty, sparse atmosphere, but it's still the faster section, which is more lively anyway. So there's two ways, I mean, lots of ways you could look at it, really.
Pending further investigation, what am I gonna do with this kid? Shaking the hand of the dour assistant, I asked.
And this is exactly what we expect of this section. But isn't it interesting how we suddenly sort of let those guys back in there? We let the guitar we let the guitar be joined by the drums and the bass, but they weren't there initially.
Shaking the hand of the dour assistant,
And then they come in. It's an interesting way to do it. I don't know what the purpose of that is. The only thing that I would think would be a good reason to do that is just to add emphasis to that first part of the lyrics, because if you bring them in before you've sung that thing, then the interesting part is that they've come back in, not necessarily what you're saying at that particular point. So leaving it until after that might be for that reason. Here it comes. Yeah, still. Now, we were not expecting that. That's not quite it, is it? But we've got a key change here.
To watch
It's a half step up. So after this, it's not that, is it, melodically? But we're going, instead of from the C to the G to the D, sorry, C to the, oh jeez, C to the D to the G, bloody G. It's going, well, I think we have a B flat minor first in place of the C, an E flat in place of the D, and an A flat instead of a G. So we've moved the whole thing up a semitone, albeit with a different chord. Instead of C, instead of D flat, which is what we'd expect there, we have a B flat minor, but they're functionally very similar for most people. Same kind of thing. Yeah, so then, yeah, we get the same reversal of the key from the relative major to the relative minor that we had before there. A flat going to F. Sorry, I thought I heard someone at the door.
Alone in play, I finally say I know you've got a good heart.
Okay, not what we were expecting there. We were probably expecting da 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 da, but we got a good heart. What did we get?
A good heart.
So yeah, we go to an F chord instead. Good heart, basically. There might be something slipping to it there. Hold on a moment. Back again. So that was an F out of nowhere, wasn't it? Now, to be honest, F is closer than F sharp was to the previous key, so it doesn't quite sound as crazy, but it's still a totally unexpected thing, because, you know, what the chords point towards there is a nice resolution to that A flat, but we don't get that the first time. We get the F sharp, or if it was in this key, it would be the G, which is pretty strange, like that. But now, instead of either of those options, we get an F instead, and it's an F with that appoggiatura on it from both of those things. They both move down like that. Okay, and that F, we've had it as a minor in this section of things after the C minor, but now we have it as a major, and we have it prepared like that in a very, very unconventional way. So he's got this moment in each of these repetitions where he wants this unexpected thing to happen, and the first two times the same thing happens. So if I have it happen again the third time, maybe it would be too expected. And maybe it also just doesn't have quite the right mood for what he's saying here. A good heart is a very different thing to whatever stuff he was saying before, I assume. And so it fits the softer ending, maybe. And then, yeah, we're back to our thirds chord sequence here. Are we just going back to a jigga jigga jum? Let's see. No. Okay, so we played the one up, C, E minor, G, B minor, and then we played the one down. That's not quite what it is, though, is it? Maybe it is. Let's hear it again. Do. Yeah, D, B minor, G, E minor. It is. Is that the end? Some really powerful cymbal sounds on this album because there's such a sparse texture. You can hear those cymbals reverberate without much interruption from other things, and it's quite cool because a lot of the cymbal sound is normally lost in so if you have a distorted guitar, for instance, that really interrupts a lot of that cymbal noise. But here we're getting a lower, like hummy sound from the cymbals, which really fills the space and is very, very nice. Anyway, that's all I'm going to do today because I think there's very little chance of me getting through an 8-minute song in 10 minutes. 12 minutes, okay, but I'm still not going to try. I'm going to have a listen to that by myself. Yeah, we've had some simple, sparse textures, have we not? Yes. We've had some complicated chord sequences, but we've had, on the larger scale, we've had very straightforward structure, strophic structure, repetitions, and occasionally in that second track we've had the intro and the outro matching, but not having anything to do with the rest of the song. So nothing crazy in terms of that, but the inner structure is very complicated, uses lots of different key centers, and the melody is the most complicated thing of all, really impossible to pin down. Will do its own thing when it wants, and will do something repetitious when it wants. It's a unique blend of complexity and simplicity, and it really deserves your undevoted love and affection. God bless, I guess, or something like that. I hope you have a nice life. See you soon, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day too.